idea of Europe, of wider and struggles, and we students of the College of Europe from the Eastern Partnership countries, we need to remember that the great world real benefit reaped by the democracy itself. Before when students present our cultural tradition, including repaying this. So, and you see Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine stood on their to help our European friends, and we hope for this help.
Honorable guests, dear students, first of all, let me thank the group that has initiated this event, and thank Teona for her great presentation, though I think you have left me out of the messages, because the main messages that I had to talk about, you've described them pretty explicitly. But it was a great presentation, and the main points that we politicians try to communicate with our friends and allies have been put into a very passionate format, but that I'll try to continue. So, yes, today we are talking about Eastern Partnership, about countries of Eastern Partnership, and specifically about Georgia, a country of Eastern Partnership that has clearly declared its orientation, its perspective, has declared its vision towards future of its identity, future of how we see the region. And let me start with saying that we are a country that has made this choice historically. We are a country that has dedicated ourselves culturally, emotionally, based on our values, to a family of nations that we call Europe. And this has not been done by this current government or the previous government or the governments prior to that. This is an identity of my nation, of my culture, an identity to whom some governments serve effectively, the others are less effective. But the main point is that our choice to become a part of this political, cultural, value-based family of nations is not something that politicians make. This is a decision made by our societies, by our people. Let me go a little bit into detail. What does this mean for Georgia? First of all, I've said this several times, that I believe that Georgians, ordinary Georgians, as individuals, as they live in families, the books they read, the emotional context that they have, the culture that they make and create, is definitely a European culture. Does this mean that Georgia is a completely European nation? I would say no. We have serious challenges that we have to go through. And the challenge is to put this individual Europeism, this cultural Europeism, the way society thinks and values things, into political systems. And this has been a challenge since our independence for the last 2 decades. And Georgia has gone through a very complicated process in this respect. We have been trying to build European political system in a country that has been under serious threats and problems. First of all, the economic problems. The second was that our territories are occupied and have been occupied. We are wrestling with the political past that was in Georgia, which was basically part of an empire called Soviet Union. Those were the challenges that we were facing. But I think that we were very effective in overcoming those challenges. Today, when we talk about Georgia as a political entity, it's a country that has been able to change the government through peaceful and democratic elections. It's a country that has been able to build a really open and free media. It's a country that is building a market economy. It's a country that is furthering its political systems. Not all of these challenges have been overcome, but we are on the right path in this direction. And let me state once more again that this is done in a very harsh environment, in an environment where our neighbor, which is a strong, economically, politically, militarily strong, nuclear country, is threatening our independent choice, has occupied our territories, has further made decisions, political decisions, that are furthering this occupation to the level of annexation. Still, Georgia's choice has not been changed. Still, society is very strong and firm on the choice that has been made, not only by politicians, but I would say by our predecessors, our ancestors. Now, the Eastern Partnership, it has been a useful and powerful tool for us to develop our European identity and European path. As I told you, one of the main challenges for our society is to reform and transform our cultural European values into political systems and political institutions. And Eastern Partnership, as a tool that has been developed quickly after the 2008 war, has been used by Georgia very effectively to do so, to transform our political systems and our society. It has been a useful tool because it was giving us specific and precise indications of what has to be done. The indications on the legislative level, the indications that were helping and are helping to transform our way of governance, to introduce new and contemporary systems, to reform some of the main targets and goals of management of the government and the political systems. It has been an effective tool till the recent benchmark was achieved. I remember that our dialogue with our European partners was very effective before and as well as after the association agreement that has been signed last year. We've been being in a very close contact and in an intensified dialogue with our European partners, we have been able to achieve, not only to achieve the requirements, but by achieving those requirements to further our society and our country on this European path. Last year we signed the association agreement and the free trade agreement with Europe. Since then, the agenda became even more loaded. And this loaded agenda is transforming the way we do business, the way the way the customs service operates, the other details, the nuts and bolts of doing doing trade and doing business in Georgia. Being in a very intensified dialogue, we have achieved a lot since last year. The achievement has been identified by our partners, and in the recent issue that we are now discussing is the report which has significantly acknowledged Georgia's progress on this path. But there are still problems as well as opportunities on Georgia's path to further integration into Europe. What are those challenges and what are those opportunities? Let's first of all discuss the importance that Georgia plays for our European allies. As Teona has probably mentioned, we are creating, I believe we are creating great opportunities culturally as well as personally. We are a nation of great culture, one of the nations that have actually invented and introduced the academic alphabets that humankind has, with a great poetry, literature that goes thousands of years into history. We are a nation that has potential to be to be shared with Europe in art, in culture, in science, in human dimension as well. At the same time, we are a nation that is giving great opportunities for our European partners in respect of economic and geopolitical issues. Georgia has dedicated and properly located itself on the map as a country that is playing a really decisive role in relationship of Asia and Europe. If you look at the map and you see where we are located, you'll see that the real link between the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea, a link that brings opportunities of energy, of commodity transit, of transportation issues. This is the country that is called Georgia. And Georgia has been doing this and developing this for the last 2 decades of our independence. Right now we are furthering this mission and role in enjoying great partnership with our neighbors in Azerbaijan and Turkey and even beyond, creating opportunities for the energy resources, for transportation communications among great markets of Europe and Asia. This is a significant role that we play in European stability and security and not only for European stability and security, but also for stability, security, and free choice of the countries of the Caspian Sea basin. Further to that, Georgia has been pursuing a role of partnership in the Caucasus, which is also a very important part of European security. We've been showing an example of partnership, of friendly neighborhood with basically all of our neighbors, and giving opportunities for partnership with our Azeri, Armenian, and Turkish friends. This is also supporting and contributing to European stability. Eastern Partnership has also transformed into an interesting format in this context that I have been describing with you. Countries of Eastern Partnership, 6 of them, has chosen different orientations and different directions. But in respect to Georgia, and in issues discussed in respect to Georgia, all of them have been significantly talking about the opportunity that Georgia presents through its European orientation and through furthering its alliance with Europe. I'm talking about our Azeri, our Armenian, our Belarusian partners, countries who have not clearly yet declared their orientation, as Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine did, but who see a great potential in partnering with Georgia, and in partnering specifically based on our European orientation. Those countries that have chosen a different area of economic partnership, like Belarus and Armenia did, in respect to Georgia, they are talking about opportunities versus differences that both of our countries should look upon through the free trade agreement and through the customs union that they are entering. So, if we look at this, all these opportunities, all these cultural, economic, political partnerships, we are looking at the opportunities of Georgia and other Eastern partnerships by bringing more of diversity, more of opportunities, and further stability to Europe, as well as globally. By the way, Georgia has been one of the most trustworthy and engaged actors when we are talking about global security and stability. We've been engaged in majority of international missions when it comes up to national security and global security. We are right now engaged with our European partners. We are engaged with our NATO partners. But we are not, but though being a country that is contributing to global security, we are not always the consumers of this security and stability. Anyway, plus to those opportunities, definitely there are some complications that we face with our northern neighbors, with the Russian Federation, and with the problems that have been created in respect not only to Georgia, but to Ukraine, in respect globally to the region and the security of the region. It is important to note that Georgia's attitude and towards Russian Federation, towards its neighbors, as I have mentioned, is always peaceful and oriented on partnership. Though our territorial integrity has been violated, our territories have been occupied. Last year we had a further complication in this respect. We had year 2008 when we were attacked by the Russian militaries, and we have year 2014 where the same happened in Ukraine. To tell you frankly, we don't completely understand this policy, because we don't think that creating complications with your neighbors, the fact that your neighbors are threatened or sort of oppressed by you, does bring anything good to our neighbor Russian Federation. At the same time, this is a fact that we are facing, and this is a fact that we all have to come through out of this fact with some kind of solution. And what we are seeing and viewing in this respect is further democratization of our country, further engagement into Europe, furthering Georgia's path in direction of democracy. And with this sort of existential choice, we believe that at some point rational dialogue with the Russian Federation, including our international partners, will bring further security into the region. Having all this in mind and having already passed of Eastern Partnership, I can tell you that it coincides with the goals of our nation, historic choice of our nation. It has been giving a pretty powerful tools for not only for furthering our integration, but modernizing our society. And me, as well as other political leaders, but basically based on the choice of our society, we have clearly said that this is our path. Europe is our natural place of inhabitance, and we will be there as full-fledged members of this political, cultural, and economic union. Thank you.